Hello BookTube, hello everyone, it's Paul here. As you can see from the start of the video, I've been playing about with some video editing software, so I don't know if you like that, maybe it's over the top, I'm not too sure. But as you all have noticed as well, I put in a short clip of, just a very short clip of some video that I took from the top of one of the hills here called Morven. I just thought people may be interested in seeing some of the countryside from where I am. I'm quite interested in walking and photography, and I'm usually outdoors at some point over the course of the week, so I thought I would throw that in and maybe people will enjoy seeing that. But anyway, today what I thought I would do is talk about this book here that I actually finished reading this about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I need to talk about it now or never, because this book does need to go back to the library imminently. So what I'm going to attempt to do is give you a closer look at the cover. So I'll try and cut to a kind of different look of that just now and give you a closer look. And so here it is, the cover of Titanic Lives. It's quite a nice looking book, I would say. The photographs in the front are, you know, typical of the ones to be found inside the book. It's a very nicely presented book, I would say. And yeah, so that's a look at the cover. I'll just try and do a bit of a close-up on that photograph there. For some reason I find that picture quite moving. You know, little did they know what lay ahead of them as they embarked on the journey. So that is the cover. So as I was saying there, you know, the book is full of, you know, very impressive photographs, a lot of it very moving, but the book itself, I've got mixed feelings on it. I kind of struggled with this in some ways, but I guess it was kind of a case of no pain, no gain with this one. I think what I found difficult was, and I'm going to hold my hand up here and say this could be down to my incredibly short attention span, but as the title would suggest, Titanic Lives, written by Richard Davenport-Hines, by the way. I've got but what Davenport-Hines has done is, as the title would suggest, he's given a lot of background on different passengers, a whole range of different passengers, and not just passengers, and for that matter crew, but people to do with the boat, the building of the boat that were involved in the White Star Company, etc. But what I found difficult about that was, it was kind of these rapid fire biographies, and before long I was kind of waving the white flag of surrender, saying, you know, enough, I can't cope with it anymore. But having said that, what it did give me was, even though I couldn't remember the details of every life that was spoken about, it gave me a really good kind of general sense of the people on board. And by the time the author came round to talking about the disaster itself, which was contained in the last few chapters, I was invested. You know, I was invested in the people on board. Maybe not with any one individual, but I kind of knew about their struggles. Not just the struggle of coping with the tragedy as it happened, but the whole struggle of their lives and what it took for them to be on board that boat in the first place. you know, and that made it all the more interesting. It's kind of, you know, it felt like work, you know, going through all that biographical stuff, but it was worth it. And it really gave me I mean, I already knew to an extent about the class system back then at the turn of the, as they're just going into the 20th century. But this book really gave me a deeper appreciation of the stark divisions and what people were going through, and just how superficial the first class world was, and how utterly desperate the third class or the lower class situation was. And on board the ship, of course, it was a question of life or death. If you're a first class passenger or third class steerage. But I suppose moving on to the disaster itself, which is what people are really interested in, I think, as I've spoken about before, I mean, clearly this is a tragedy, and what a tragedy does, or one of the things that it does, is it shines a spotlight on human nature and how people behave in these very desperate situations. You know, one of the things that I find interesting was the kind of behaviour that the social pressure that people feel resulted in. For example, the whole idea of women and children first. Now, that's fine, you know, women and children first, that's okay, I've got no problem with that. But as many people will know, the lifeboats were being lowered into the sea half full because a lot of the women didn't really sense the danger, they didn't really want to go initially, they felt safer on board than being lowered 100 feet into the sea, into the unknown, in a boat that felt less safe. But yeah, those lifeboats were half empty, and they could have been, there was men that were willing to go at that point, or, you know, teenagers, young men, they, you know, looking back, should have been allowed onto those boats. And as the book states, you know, were all those lifeboats completely full, then, you know, perhaps 50 to 100 more lives could have been saved easily. And it adds to the tragedy, you know, and they just couldn't allow themselves to let men on board the initial boats, and it cost lives. So that's just one example of that kind of social pressure. And then other ways that people behave, you know, the denial that anything was seriously wrong, that was very prevalent, you know, the crew trying to dull down any panic, which again probably cost lives, because people just took so long to realise how much danger they were in. So it's very interesting stuff. And then even when the lifeboats were down, the ship had sunk, you know, those on the lifeboats were safe, but they didn't go back to collect the ones that were in the water and needing help, for fear that their lifeboat would be you know, overpowered with bodies, and then they would all be in danger of drowning ultimately. So I mean, I'm just skimming over a couple of the things that I find particularly interesting in the book, but I would say it's well worth a read. You know, it is another one that's a bit of an emotional roller coaster, but as I've said, you kind of have to do the work first, you know. then he takes you to the point where you're emotionally invested, and then the story is all the more real. And something that I did after reading the book actually was I went online and found numerous interviews with passengers who were on board. Now obviously the Titanic story is quite has been romanticised beyond belief, but what really struck me listening to the interviews, and especially after reading this book, there was absolutely nothing romantic about it whatsoever. You know, people were desperate, people were scared, people were dying, people were, you know, in great danger of their lives and had to live with this for the rest of their lives. And on top of that, it was a disaster that needn't have happened in the first place. And so all of that together was quite sobering for me, you know, and added to the interest. So although I really enjoyed this book, but what I would say is that and it's the only book I've read on the Titanic, but I suspect there's better books than this out there. This felt a little bit, you know, it felt like I was working harder than I should have been to get through this book. But having said that, I do recommend it. So yeah, the Titanic Lives, very interesting indeed. So anyway, that's that for today. I hope you enjoyed this kind of different video. You can let me know anyway in the comments below, and wherever you are, I hope that you're doing well and you're having an okay day and things are fine, and hopefully I'll see you soon in another video. So take care and bye for now.